Yeah, man, people, good night, everyone, man. Welcome back to Nicola Media House, man. Yeah, we're there again. Concacaf, Nations League is up on us. I'm here to give my little predictions on what I'm going to think about, the Concacaf Nations League quarterfinals, man. But yeah, people, give thanks, give thanks, for passing through again. Give thanks for supporting the channel, give thanks for supporting all the videos, man. I really appreciate everyone that's love and support over here. But yeah, as I said, this is the CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinal predictions, what I thought about, the 4 games that, going to play, 2 games tomorrow. America play Trinidad tomorrow in Texas, Austin. I'm wondering why, America is bringing that game, in hot Texas. More likely, when America is played against Central American teams, in around winter time, they always bring those games, in like I would say the Midwest, going up north, place like Minnesota, place like Milwaukee, in Ohio, places like those, coming up against Trinidad, Trinidad is a hot place. So it would more likely, Trinidad is more favorable to play in Texas, even though it's a long-standing history between Trinidad and Tobago versus America, having beat them, on home side for so many years, But the other game, is Costa Rica versus Panama. That game, I think that's tomorrow, and that's tomorrow also. I think it's 10 p.m. Eastern time, and I think the America game will be at 9. Initially the people that will live on the east coast of America will get that game, 9 p.m. But that game will kick off in Austin, Texas at 7 p.m. Eastern time. As you know, the West Coast and the East Coast in America is what 3. The West Coast is 3 hours behind, the East Coast. But yeah, Reggae Boyz, will play Canada, on Friday at the office. And Honduras will host, L3 Mexico. That's a late kickoff. I think that's like 10 p.m. Normally when games, played in El Salvador, like Panama and like Honduras, even Mexico, when they played in Mexico City, they always play those games, a little late. The time schedule is kind of different. Time zone is crazy in football. Even right now, the under 17 World Cup is playing, in the Asian continent. And the Asian continent, game started for me like 4:30, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm talking about AM time, and people have to get up. Some people get up. Sometimes I do get up and watch, those under 17 games, because those are the times, I get up to go to work. But I'm going to give, my honest prediction, what I think, and talk about, teams going into the quarterfinals of the Nations League, coaches, stuff like that, break down the game a little bit, and I'm mostly sticking to, the 3 games. And, I'm going to talk about the Reggae Boy game, of course, but, I'm mostly going to give details and depth about, the Honduras game versus Mexico, Panama versus Costa Rica, and the US versus Trinidad, and then last and best, the Reggae Boys. But I will do a preview tomorrow after Reggae Boys, solely preview on the Reggae Boys, just that game, but today is the prediction, of the CONCACAF Nations League quarter final, but take a little sip of water. Yeah, feel more refreshing. Yeah, man, but I talk about, the first game, Honduras versus Mexico, as they call him in Mexico. It will be the first leg, that game initially, it's going to be on, is it going to be on Friday? Yeah, that game going to be on Friday, same day when the Reggae Boys, but first thing first, Honduras, Honduras is on their face right now, to be honest. Honduras is on that rebuild structure, over the years, that team, that Honduras, been brought in, they brought to tournaments, stuff like that. Most of those players, they got age, some of them retired, one of their marquee player, probably 10 years ago, I think it's Manuel Figueroa, the ex-Wigan athletic player. He's assistant coach. He is assistant coach under Ronaldo, Ruida, the Colombian coach. But I'm starting off, Ronaldo Ruida, this is his second stint as an Honduran manager. This Honduras coach. He's a really experienced coach. He saw I kind of saw him. The first, I think the Reggae Boy game was his first competitive game. I think that was in the Nations League, the first game that we played at Office. When we won that game, that was his first official game. But I think he played a game just before that at Miami. I think it was El Salvador. One of those Central American teams. But yeah, Rui there, he qualified for the 2010 World Cup, for Honduras, the first time in 28 years. It was a big thing, for Honduran at that time. I remember Honduran were on the peak. I remember Palacios, that midfielder used to play in the Premier League. Figueroa, Tai, at 7:30 tomorrow. The game will play 7 o'clock. You ready? Hope you're ready for that game, there. But yeah, as I said, Ruidia, this is his second stint. Very experienced coach. Over the years, he coached. I think he coached the Colombian national team already. He coached, I think, them at the youth level. He coached Flamengo in Brazil. This is a very experienced coach. And this, as I said, this is his second stint as an Honduran, manager. And he brought two teams back to back, two different teams back to back, to a World Cup. He did it in 2010. He brought Honduras to South Africa, and then he took over Ecuador team and brought them to the World Cup in Brazil and their home continent in South America. But he never managed to get out of any of those groups, as he walked away. He resigned in 2010. And then he picked up the Ecuadorian job, and then they failed to get out of the group stage, and saw what happened. He resigned again. But yeah, big coach. But a couple of results, for this coach so far in his tenure at Honduras. As I said, they lost at the Office against the Reggae Boys 1-0. They beat Grenada 4-0. All these games are in the build-up, to the quarterfinals of the Nations League. And he drew, an unusual, point in Cuba against Cuba, and the return game he beat them, he smashed them 4-0. So, as I said, Figueroa, this is a well-experienced man. I don't know. I just love to see, past players in the past, coaching or even just assisting, their national team, their club team, whatever. Figueroa have over 170 caps, for the Honduran team. Remember 2013 when Wigan Athletic, beat Manchester City in that final. I think that was Steve Sidwell. That ball came from a corner kick by Sean Maloney. That was a big thing back then, for Wigan to win the FA Cup, man. He made over 180 Premier League caps, for Wigan Athletics. So yeah, he's a very experienced coach for the Honduran team, and I think he will help Rui there over the coming years, how to settle into the Honduran job. Honduran players want to be coach and all of that. So yeah, he's a well experienced man. A couple key players going into this game, for the Honduran national team. In the defense, they have Maldonado from the LAFC, Devron Garcia, Vega Montoya from Motagua, big team in Honduras, but this is where it's going to get tricky for them, and this is where these players going to come up. They need to come up big, in the midfield, Rigoberto, he played in the Turkish league. David Ruiz, he played for Inter Miami, and Brian Acosta, big Portland Timbers midfielder. But, coming up against a Mexican team that, always going to play, the 4-3-3 or the 3-4-3, Jamie Lozano, always like to switch it up. Not really just Jamie Lozano, the Mexican coach, like to switch it up, but this is like a philosophy, for the Mexican team. Whenever any different coach, come at the table to coach the Mexican team, they like to play, those at the intersection of football and change up formation as the game go along. But look, this Mexican team is no joke. But Honduran, the Honduras have a poor record against Mexico. I'm going to give you guys, a few stats on that. The last 12 games, between these two teams, Mexico have won 8, only lost 2. And, they drew 2 games. Those 2 games that they drew, it was a friendly, and all those games, it's 0-0 draw. So yeah, it's something that the Honduran, they're going to have a wicked game, on their home turf against Mexico. And I tell you, another interested one, Honduras having scored, and Mexico for some time, all those games, all those 8 games, Mexico have won over the years, Honduras have never scored. So, I don't know where the goal is going to come from, Kyoto, these Kyoto and Ellis, Ellis, I think he played in the French league. Kyoto played for the Montreal Impact. Those players up front going to be really key, for an Honduran team, and how they, their shape and how they're going to attack. I watched them, the last time these two teams, it was in the Gold Cup, the first game, for both teams in the Gold Cup, and Honduras got their teeth smashed out 4-0, but let's see where, the goal is going to come from, but as I said, Honduras failed to score in 5 games, in the last 5 games against Mexico. The last time, a Honduran team beat the Mexico team, it was back in 2017 in a World Cup qualified 3-2 at home. That was the last time Mexico, Honduran scored on Mexico. And guess who scored both goals? I just call them name, Kyoto and Ellis. The other goal was an own goal, by Guillermo Meme Choa, the Mexican goalkeeper. But, I predict this game, to be honest, to be somewhere around 2-0, 3-0, by the Mexican, to be honest, because Honduran just have a poor record. They just don't like to play, Yeah, 7 p.m. local time. Yeah, the Jamaica game. But I don't know. I don't know where the goal is going to come from for the Honduran team. But Jamie Lozano, the Mexican coach, he have picked a 26-man team, 26 man squad, for this game. And one big surprise in it was a player that played for Tigres in the Mexican, Liga MX, they call it, over there in Mexico. Quiones, he's a Colombian born, but he was playing in this league for some times now, and he finally got his Mexican citizenship. And the Mexican Federation put out something that, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your color. Once you are a Mexican, you will get a chance to play for Mexico. It doesn't matter if you live in that high top class society, those neighborhoods, it doesn't matter. You're going to get a chance. Once you're a Mexican, he's a Mexican, but the Honduran, they're going to have to take their chance tomorrow, really, but some big players, for this Mexican team. Mexico have picked, I think, half of that 26 players that got picked in the Mexican team, they locally played in Mexico. I think around 14, 15 of those players, that got picked in this 26 man squad, they played locally. I said this on, I think, on a podcast I did a few days ago. The Mexicans, they're not dominating around the world like that. The only one that can come off at the top of my head, who is really hitting Europe really hard and everyone have their eyes on him, and his name is Santiago Jimenez, the Feyenoord player, played in the Dutch league. He scored 15 goals already in our competition, and we just about to end November. So yeah, he's scoring goals, I think he scored a brace, and Lazio in the Champions League. I think that was at home. But some other players, Cesar Montes, and Franco Vasquez, Cesar Montes, he's playing really good in Mexico. Franco Vasquez played for Genoa in the Serie A. He's finally getting some game time, and the Mexicans, they are happy about that. As this Mexican team, to be honest, most of these players that, I think I would say like Aubrey Peralta, Eric Rodriguez, Romo, Chavez. I think Antuna was in it. I think Antuna, and Cesar Montes, Franco Vasquez. Most of those players are coming from the under youth 15, youth 17, come all the way up. They play together. Jesus Gallardo, the left back, Jorge Sanchez, the right back. Most of these players are coming from a level, they play together. And that's how I would love to see the Jamaicans player, transition from youth level into the senior team. As everyone see, whenever Mexican go on the pitch, they just look like they've been playing for years, but it's just a system. It's just the way all they brought up, So yeah, a couple other players, Luis Chavez, Edson Alvarez, and El Chucky Lozano, the ex-Napoli player that's used on loan at PSV in the Dutch league, back in the Dutch league, But we're going to move on, a little bit, talk about some other attackers, especially, I leave out, Luis Palma. This player, he played for Celtic. I think, did he score on Atletico Madrid? No, he didn't score. I think he scored, but they wave off the goal offside. But Luis Palma is a player that just signed for Celtic. He was in the Greek Super League over there in Greece, and he's the next big thing, for the Honduran, and they're looking out for him. That front three: Kyoto, Ellis, and Luis Palma. And how can I leave out the captain, Antonio Lozano? But Antonio Lozano, is, I think he played in I think I seen him played in I think it was in an Olympic. Not sure if I saw him first in the Olympic or it was a youth World Cup, but he's playing in the La Liga for some times now. I think he's at I think Getafe. I think he's at Getafe, but he's not getting any game. He's been like he whenever Honduran play, against big teams in the Concacaf region, he's not scoring the goals that they're looking for. He scored against teams like Grenada and Cuba and all them team. They want to see him step up in the big games. We're going to move on. Trinidad, versus America, as they call them. The Soca Warriors. This game is David versus Goliath. To be honest, this game, is David versus Goliath. First, before I move anywhere, in this style. The last 3 meetings between Trinidad, Tobago, and US, they concede 19 goals in the last 3 games. 6-0, 6-0, 7-0. Those are the 3 last results. The Soca Warriors come up against the Rednecks. But the US haven't beat Trinidad. The US haven't beat the Trinidad and Tobago team since 2009 in Trinidad. So this game will play first. The first leg, will play in Austin, Texas, and the return leg will play in Trinidad. But can the Soca Warriors get a point or get a positive result to bring this game go back to Trinidad? Remember what happened in Trinidad in 2017. Trinidad was the team that hit out the US team out of the World Cup. Remember that team, with Bradley, with Pulisic, with Tim Howard, with Altidore, with Wandelowski, you could name it, with Beckerman, all those players, the legend, I forgot his name, Beasley, but Trinidad was that team that, knocked out America out of that World Cup, back in 2017, the FIFA World Cup for 2018, but I don't know if this Trinidad team is really equipped enough to get a point. Even though, Christian Pulisic and George Weah both injured, as Christian Pulisic injured that's in the last Serie A game, and George Weah have been injured for the last couple of games now. But they still have a really good squad. But Trinidad will be looking, especially for Nathaniel James, Ryan Telfer and Levy Garcia and Kaylee Arvory. They will be looking to get those players in the game, but it's just not going to work. Can Angus Steve, the man who is at the job for 2 years now for the Soca Warriors, can he get that point, for the first time on a US soil? I don't know. But when the US have players, Matt Turner, Miles Robinson, Musa, Giorena, Balogun, it's just hard to see Trinidad get a result in this game. As first leg, I think this game going to done easily 4-0. When you see Trinidad, America bring games, go all the way to the back of Texas. This is what they do. This is what they always do. When they played, Caribbean teams, they always bring the games, to some states where you don't really find much Caribbean people that live in those states. In Texas, you have Caribbean, neighborhoods in Texas, but you don't really find it as though you would find it in Florida, in Miami region, up in the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Connecticut. They will never play at Jamaica, or any other big Caribbean teams in those regions. The last time the America bring a game close to the Northeast, it was against Reggae Boyz. I think it was that between, I think when we drew with them in that World Cup qualifier, I think back in 96, 97, that game played in Washington, and, we filled the stadium. The Americans couldn't find a spot, so yeah, whenever they played, some teams from the Caribbean or Central America, they always choose to bring the game, go some back part in some state, but they can't do that with the Mexican, because the Mexican, they travel anywhere to support their team, but as I said, I see this game 4-0, 3-0 for the Mexican. No, I'm sorry, for the US men's national team. But the Trinidad team, having scored in 11 games away to the US, that is some stats right there. They haven't scored, and the last time, the US, got like a poor result, from a Trinidad team. It was in a friendly, and that was all the way in January 13, 1996. And that was like when I was 1 year old, but moving on, Los Ticos, Costa Rica versus Panama, this game will be a battle. These two teams, these two countries are neighboring countries. They are rivals. They don't like each other's, but can Gustavo Alfaro, the Costa Rican coach, get the better of, Thomas Christiansen, the Danish/Spanish coach, both coaches are big coach, but, Gustavo Alfaro, he's from Argentina. This coach has a reputation in the Argentinian league, coaching, got his really started to build his pedigree, his coaching pedigree when he took over that Boca Juniors job, and, he won that league title back from River Plate. As you know, these two teams don't like each other, River Plate and Boca Juniors, but, Gustavo, Alfaro, he's qualified, Ecuador to that World Cup, back in, I think it was back in 2018, for the first time he went to a FIFA World Cup, but one thing, he did a press conference where, he's talking, but, Costa Rica is kind of on a rebuild process right now, to be honest, and they brought this man in, to fill this void and, try to see if he can get the best out of all the players that, who is in Costa Rica. But this coach, he been known for his robot defensive style, try to get the best out of his players, to try to pick their weakness and, to gather them and try to make them a better team. He don't really, this is a problem, he had at Boca Juniors. Boca Juniors is a team that, sometimes like to rely on individual players, and he's not a type of coach like that. He like to play that team game. He started, his game first with defense, and Boca Juniors a team that always play, with their handbrake down. They don't like to play their handbrake up, as they like to play that free flowing football. Even though he won, games in Boca Juniors and won the league and all of that, but you just can't do that. But Costa Rica have high hopes for this coach. They really do. They really have high hopes for this player, and going into this game, Costa Rica have some mixed bunch of players. But they will miss their star man, Keylor Navas, and I think Alcoran. These two players were key, to Costa Rica and how they played in that Gold Cup last summer, but they will be out because of injury. So let's see how Los Ticos can perform, especially without Keylor Navas. But Los Ticos have played 2 games since the Gold Cup. I don't know what's happened. They played Saudi Arabia, won that game 3-1, and played UAE, United Arab Emirates, and lost the game 4-1. I don't know. I think two FIFA windows are already gone, September, October, and Los Ticos are just played 2 games. So maybe they have something, under the bag, trying to sneak up with this Panama team. But yeah, this the Costa Rican team, but I think I spoke about the player that out, but Panama, Panama had some result that coming into this game. Panama drew 1-1 with Guatemala, beat Curacao, and beat Costa Rica. Again, in a look unofficial game. I think that game that game was like behind scenes and all of that. They didn't allow any camera, anything like that. But the key players, going to this game for the Panamanian team is Eric Davis. Eric Davis, he's a left back. He's everything that Panama did in that World Cup. I think he was one of the highest assists in the tournament. He grabbed, I think, 4 assists. Fajardo, the Panamanian striker, when the World Cup previously played in the summer, he was playing for a team in Peru. Now he's in the MLS. But Carrasquillo, the man that got the MVP, the golden ball, did he got the golden ball? I think he got MVP of the final. Remember that Afro-Air Panamanian in the midfielder, General, Godoy, those were the 2 paired midfielders for the Panamanian team, and they were excellent. And how the Panama team, play out the ball, make transition from the midfield to the wing areas. Panama like to play, that 3-4-3 system, play those wing backs, but the right side is where it gets tricky for the Costa Rican. Panama like to play with. They don't really like to play with a natural right back or a right wing back. Barcenas. I think the Barcenas and another player. I don't remember his name. Murillo. Murillo is a naturally fullback. Barcenas is naturally a winger, and they stick with Barcenas in the big games when it comes on to playing against the top teams in the Concacaf region in the World Cup, and he actually got 2 assists last World Cup, and I think that's how they will line up with those 2 players, especially with Fajardo up front, Quintero, Ishmael Diaz. I think Ishmael Diaz and Quintero will play just ahead in those in that number 10 area. Both players, like to kind of interplay that intersect, formation, go anywhere, like to roam around and stick that one man up front, So yeah, this is how they do it, right back, left back, run the flank, 2 number 10 that will roam around and create space, and Godoy and Carrasquillo, will play those double pivot and control, and all the Panama team will play. But I'm going to, move on, a little bit about, the Panamanian coach. This coach has been seen in Panama as a genius. He didn't, qualify for the World Cup in Qatar. I think he finished in 6th position. But you could see the direction that Panama team is going, especially since he came in a couple years ago, and that's how the Costa Rican team will hope the Argentinian coach Gustavo can transition them, just like how Thomas Christiansen can do it for the Panamanian team. So, let's see. But I think this game, will play out to a 1-1 draw. Even though, Costa Rica haven't beat Panama for some times now. The last 4 games, Panama won 3, and Costa Rica won 1 game. Costa Rica lost 4 of 5 home games against so Panama. So, there's some favorable result for the Panamanian national team, but football don't really play on paper, statistic and all that, but it played on the pitch. But sometimes when you see like a little trend, that's how it always continue. But can Costa Rica break the spell? I think this Costa Rica team to beat a Panama team, they have to get a positive result. Probably they don't need this Panama team to score away from them. They need to at least win at least 1 or a 2-0. A 2-0 margin will be a really good result, for the Costa Rican team at home. But let's see what they're going to do tomorrow. We'll talk about the last game, Jamaica versus Canada. Oh, can the Reggae Boyz do it? That's what I'm saying. Can the Reggae Boyz do it, at home against a very, I would say, not a really tough team as we saw probably the last 12, 18 months in that FIFA World Cup qualifiers. They just, the Canada team just ran right through, the whole World Cup qualifier process. Initially when they played us, in that game, that I think that was drawn 0-0 at home, but Panama haven't beat Jamaica at home for some times. It's been a while since Panama beat the Reggae Boyz at home. The last time, Panama came to Jamaica and beat us, it was back in 1988. Was that Gilbert time? Tyrone, was that the year you're born? They beat us 4-0 in a friendly. That was the last time Canada really beat Jamaica at home. So, let's see what's going to happen. But, I'm calling on, the supporters to come out, man. Come out and support the game. When this game go back in Canada, in Toronto, it's going to be a cold night in Toronto. It's going to be a jam-packed BMO field, in Toronto. So I'm calling on, coach to get his tactics right, because we need a positive result. We need a positive result. But, before, I go any further, Canada, big coach, John Herdman, he's not at the helm anymore. As John Herdman, he took up that Toronto job, a couple months ago. I think it was in September. And his assistant, Bielo, I think Mauro Bielo, that's his name. He's coaching the team. I think he's an interim coach. He said he would love to get the job permanently, but when I watch, Canadian vlogs and the Canada national team, they don't have that confidence. They don't have that trust in Bielo, to be honest. One player, one podcast said that I was watching a podcast. He was saying that he's not a good tactician. He always get his tactics wrong. He's not aggressive in his gameplay. As in that last World Cup qualifier, the Canada team, they played very aggressive football. They played attacking football. As most of their games, they played 3-4-3. They can play that 3-4-1-2 or that 3-4-2-1. Whatever. How they used to play. But Jonathan David, the player is not on form right now in the French league. As what he scored 2 goals in 12 games, for Lille. And Kyle Larin, he's not having a good season so far in the Spanish La Liga. So I think Canada. I think they are without. I think they missed. I think it was a goalkeeper. No, they have some goalkeeper issues. I think they have a young player named. I think he keeping the MLS for Charlotte. I don't remember his name. But they kind of pinpointing. Wonder who should start. But I think on the Jamaican side, the Jamaican coach have to start this game on the front foot. You cannot let Anthony Davis come and try to get his game try to have that free flowing running all the as if he come out on a field here, it will be problem whoever playing for right back position, for the Reggae boys. And that's the weakest point, for the Reggae boys, the right back. That's an issue. That is an issue. So playing Javier Brown, will be a liability. Tavon Gray, the NYFC player, yet to stamp his class as, he only had a couple caps, since he made his debut what, in, I think in September or October, so he could see that he's not really comfortable playing with, with the Reggae boys players as yet. He's a good player, he's really good, but, I would play Greg Lee, to be honest. But again, we have issues, Amari Bell, player injured, so, who would we play at the left back position? But we just have to play Greg Lee on the left, but we need someone to stop Anthony Davis. We need someone. Can the Reggae boys sort out that number 6 position and that number 8? Who will play? Is it DJ? Is it Joel? Kevin Lambert is not in the squad, surprisingly. He is that player where, out of everyone in the squad, he's more likely a natural CDM, and I have more confidence, in Kevin Lambert than any other player, play in that number 6 position. Playing Joel Latibody here, playing a man that usually play his normal position is at right back, playing at Swansea City, now playing at Coventry. That's his position, right wing back, right inverted. That's where, he's playing for Coventry. If he's not playing that right wing back, he's playing in that back three as they play that back three. They will never play Joel Latibody in a number 6 position for Coventry. So I don't know who we're going to play, but I would probably, play, I will probably play, Tavon Gray. Tavon Gray have lightning pace, and, you want a player that can defend 1v1. I think he's a better defender, 1v1, better than Javier Brown. But Javier Brown will give us more. He will give us more down that right side more than Tavon Gray. But when you have a Leon Bill that, more likely will play on that right side, you don't really need much of attacking. Only thing you probably need is that player to give in that little overlap a few times, just to give Leon Bailey that space where defenders, is always watching that player running outside on that right side, and he always will have a chance to cut in and shoot on his left. And that player for Canada who is going to play in that 6 and that 8 sometimes going to have to get out of his position to come over and try to stop Leon, and then that will create space for Leon to play someone in that midfield and try to shift the ball, from right to middle to left, and then try to get something in the box, as I feel like the coach will play that 2 standing striker up front, to be honest. We have Gray, we have Antonio, we have Shaman Nichols, who is finding a little farm, and we have Trevante Stewart, those 3 guys, and Romaro Williams, it's 4. So we have 4 center forwards, 4 real number 9, that really good in it here. And that's what I want to see. I want to see, crosses into the box, because we will play 2 of those players, and those 2 players will keep, that back 3 for the Canadian team occupied from minute 1 to minute 90. Hopefully they do it, but we just need to, to play very smart, against this Canada team. You can't take this Canada team very lightly, even though they're having some issues, especially, the Canada team had some problems, in the summer with their World Cup salary, both women and men, I think at one point haven't got paid, and it's all some problems, and John Erdman, the ex-coach, he spoke about it, before he resigned, when I think, was that after that Belgium game when they lost, because they lost all 3 games in that FIFA World Cup, John Erdman spoke about, the Canadian team, because lack of resources, lack of funding, and all of that, and I think that's those things are really big when you coach in a national team, especially like Canada. Who will ever have that thought that like Canada will have resources problem, but the Canadian league is not really big. They struggling for financially, as the president, for the Canadian football, they took a lot of money out of the Canadian bank that's run the federation for the Canadian national team to put in their national league over there locally. And it's been a lot of talking about that. So things are not really sitting well, in this Canada camp, but they have some really good quality players. You just cannot write them off. Remember Canada went to the semifinal, of the Nations League the last time. I think they got beaten by America. That was this in the summer before the World Cup. So they in a tournament that they usually played. So just don't want to take them light, but Jamaica need a positive result for in the first leg, in order for stand a big chance, because I just feel like going into the second leg in Toronto, it's going to be back against the wall, especially if the Canadian team lose in Jamaica, especially like a 2-0 or a 2-1 or a 3-1, they will come pump up, but I just feel like this Canada team will come to Jamaica, and they're not going to go all out, to be honest. They're not going to go all out. I feel like they're going to come and just try to sit back a little bit and try to leave us with the ball. And when teams, leave the Reggae boys with the ball, most of the ball, it's going to cause chaos. It's going to cause chaos for us, because this Jamaica team, you have so many players that, in the squad, that when you give them the ball and leave them, to be on the ball and take 4 and 5 touches, they just don't know what to do with it. And, it can start from Damian Lowe, it can start from Javian Brown. If he start, these players, when they get the ball, it's craziest thing. I don't know how. Don't ask me how it happened, but when a player get more time on the ball, that's when he's supposed to make the best decision. But some of these players, when they get the ball, they choose to make the wrong decisions at all time. They just tend to make the wrong decision at all time. Joel Latibodier is the same thing. When you give him the ball, it's like he want to take so many touches before he can actually turn. When he go deep and collect the ball, try to collect the ball from the back line, sometimes he take 2-3 touches, and when he turn, the opening space that was there, it close up. So I just feel like he's just not that player should play in the six, but you can't tell the coach that he's going to play him there. As if he take him out from the midfield area, where he's going to play in this team, because when Amari Bell is fit, I would love Greg Lay. Greg Lay is a player that can play left and right back. Chorus, said Gray, Reed, Bailey, Antonio. So that will be your front four in a 4-4-2, because the coach will play a 4-4-2. That's what the coach will play. That's his formation. I haven't seen his coach play anything but the 4-4-2. That's what he played in the last game. When I watched the game against Guatemala, he played that 4-4-2. But Tariq Maggie kind of dropped. He's going to drop deep a little bit and try to pick up the ball deep from the midfield. But coach is a 4-4-2 man. But we have players that when they get the ball, they just don't know what to do with it. And Leon Bailey sometimes is that one, trying to take too much touches on the ball. He's trying to beat 1, 2, 3, 4 players at once. If you beat 1, 2, at least pass it and move and go into space. That's all you get around teams. That's all I saw the team play against Guatemala the other night. They don't take many touches off the ball. They don't take many touches off the ball. Ramon Owell in the midfield, with Speedy Williams, those two players, they are so calm on the ball. They don't want to take 3 touches on the ball. They just want to control and pass and move. You know, that's how both of them played in that game. And we haven't seen that, you know, in the Reggae Boy, in that first string team. You know, Daniel Johnson is that player where he can collect the ball. The coach will start attacking. You know, he needs to do that. He needs to do that, you know. He needs to do that because we need a positive result, you know, but we just need to take less touches off the ball. When I watched that game, you know, against Guatemala, players take less touches. Demari Phillips, you know, he takes less touches. He just wants to get the ball turned and move in space and pass it, you know. They if you know I watched the game live and I was looking at the movements of those players, especially, you know, Tariq Maggie. He wasn't really in the game that much, but when you look at how he's running off the ball, trying to get into space and try to get into some pockets to just to get the ball, you know, you could see that he improved. And you know, Tariq Maggie improved defensively, you know, off the ball. You know, he's not really a liability and for teams anymore. I seen it in the USL, you know, for his team Colorado Switchback. You know, he improved a lot, you know, defensively trying to win back the ball, but you know, sometimes he kind of laps a little bit. But yeah, his game is getting better there. But Demari Gray, you know, if he play tomorrow, he's going to be that X factor. You know, he's the only one that, you know, on the pitch for the Reggae Boys that can pick up the ball and make something happen. Whenever, you know, Damari will get the ball for the Reggae Boys, there's always problems spell. You know, you always spell problem as defenders, you know, just tracking back, you know, on their heels. And that's where you want defenders, you know, defenders to be tracking back on their heels, don't know what the player going to do. He can go left, right, you know, he can go direct, you know. So yeah, that's how, you know, we want be able to play. But I was saying something earlier about Daniel Johnson, you know, DJ, you know, is naturally a number 10, you know, but I feel like he he will start tomorrow. You know, I hope he start, but I would just love to see Kevin Lambert, you know, and Ronaldo Cephas, you know. How can Ronaldo Cephas not in the team? You know, Chorus, you know, how can if you're going to if you know the coach going to play attacking, how can Ronaldo Cephas not in a team? Someone that blessed with speed. You know, when you watch Ronaldo Cephas in the Turkish league, they always try to make sure they have a set player on him. But you know, because he's so quick, you just cannot mark him. And you know, this team, to be honest, don't have a lot of natural wingers. They don't have a lot of natural wingers in this team. Did I have a team? I think I can find a team. There's not many natural wingers in this team, to be honest. Get this team pull up. All right, so the forward line, you know, Leon Bailey in the forward line is one of probably the most natural winger in the forward line, and Damari Gray, you know. And when you look in the midfield, you know, Demara Phillips, you know, he can do a job, you know, but I feel like Demara Phillips is a player that, you know, like to have a free run in the team, you know, roam around, you know, don't want to be stuck out there on the wing. And that's it. You know, that's it. You know, Bobby Reed, you know, we've seen him over the years playing right back, right wing back, you know, right, left sided, you know, for Fulham. Even for the season, I see him play at left midfield, you know, for Fulham. But Bobby Reed is naturally a number 10. You know, he's naturally a number 10, like to play behind the forward and create, you know. And, you know, we have to always talk about Bobby Reed that, you know, is off the ball, his work ethic. You know, most people don't see that, you know. They like to criticize Bobby Reed a lot, especially when he have a poor game. But when you look defensively, you know, he give a lot to the team. He track back a lot. I've seen Bobby Reed, you know, tracking back for even our wingers when they get caught up high, you know, in the opposition defensive third and they can't get back. Bobby Reed always put in a shift, you know, and that's the same thing, you know, for Mikel Antonio. But tomorrow, you know, I would love to see I love to see, you know, Blake, my starting level. I love to see Blake, Pinnock, Amari Bell, see Amari Bell is injured. I don't know if Amari Bell is going to be fit. I don't know if he's in Jamaica right now, but he picked up an hamstring injury. But I will play, because of that, I will play Greg Lee, at left back, and I will play Tevon Gray, because for that right back, because Davis is coming down that left hand side. The problem is in that back four where who is going to pair with Pinnock? That's the problem. Who's going to pair with Pinnock? Is it a Deshaun, Sean Bernard, or it will be Head of State? The last two games that we played, I think at Jamaica in National Stadium, Head of State gave away some goals, especially in that 80 game. He makes mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes. Especially in that 80 game, those two goals, I don't know how he made those mistakes, but because of his aggressive play, his gameplay, but he's playing really good right now in the MLS. I've been watching the MLS playoff, and he's playing really good. I've seen a couple of improvements from Damian Lowe, the last couple of games in the MLS, the playoffs. But I would play him because of his experience and the know about of playing in this region. I still feel like Bernard need a little bit more tuning about playing in the Concacaf region. He's a really good player. He's a really good player, but I just feel like Pinnock and Lowe will be that good partnership, because when Damian Lowe played with Pinnock, he played a little bit more better, played a little bit more maturity. So I will give him that over Deshaun Bernard. But tomorrow, people, I trust me. I just don't want to see Joe Latibody in the midfield tomorrow. But I have no chance. I have no choice. I just don't want to see Joel in the midfield tomorrow. Jonathan Russell is a player that he's not blessed with pace. He's not quick around the ground to cover to play as a six. We are not. Like a player like Andre Pirlo that played in that number 6, play right in between both centre half and be that be that artist, be that orchestrator to direct things for the Italian team, AC Milan and Juventus over the years. They have players around that can keep the ball, players that can work for him. Like in AC Milan, Pirlo have Gattuso, will always work for him. Clarence Seedorf in the midfield. Player like Ambrosini, players like that, they shadow around Pirlo. So we don't have that player that we can, because people look, Jonathan Russell is a really good player now. He's a really good player, but the thing that with Jonathan Russell, he needs that real warrior beside of him, and it will really good if we can get back, someone, like a Anthony Grant. It will really good if we can get back someone like Anthony Grant. But Jonathan Russell is a really good player, to be honest. I've seen him play in the championship. Now he's at Barnsley, but he's really good on the ball. Technically, he's gifted, But I think he played. Did he play in that game in that Nation League when we played in the Azteca? Was that game? I'm not sure if that was the game, but I seen him play already, for the Reggae Boys, and he look okay, but I feel like there's much more in this player. But it's just that we don't have that player that can do that dirty work for him. He's really comfortable, go for the ball deep and transition the ball to the midfield, and he could spray it, wide left, wide right, as he don't like to take many touches on the ball. So, I wouldn't play Jonathan Russell and DJ in the midfield, because both of them, slow players, don't really like to tackle. So, we will get run over in the midfield. We will get run over in the midfield. But Kira Anderson is a young player that, he's not been playing a lot recently for Charlton Athletic. I think his last game, that real game, he played a game last weekend against a 8 division team. He played full 90 minutes in that game. He grabbed an assist, but before that, he haven't played, I think, since September. Kira Anderson for the Charlton first team in League One. And to be honest, I would never put Michael Lecter back in the midfield. For the Reggae boy, I would never put him back in the midfield. Slow again, but Hector is a player that try to take less touches. But you just have to probably in this squad right now. You just have to work with Joel Latibodier. You just have to work with it. Because there's no other player that will tackle who can. He's very quick. He's very athletic around the ground. And he's very good at tackling, but he's just not good at go short for the ball. Show himself. Show himself in spaces. And try to dictate the tempo. But because I know the coach is going to play, Joel Latibodier and DJ. I think that's the midfield he's going to go with, to be honest. That's the midfield he's going to go with. And usual suspect, Gray on the right, and Leon Bailey on the left. And it has to be Boyz and Antonio up front. I think Boyz will be that player, can drop in that midfield area. To be honest, he's really good at it. Remember, Boyz playing for the team in Belgium. He did that a lot. Chalori, in the Belgium Pro League, he did that a lot. And I seen him did it a few times. Playing against Leon. I seen him do it. Played even against for PSG. He dropped a little bit deep. And I seen him do it, the last game he played against Lorient. So yeah, Boyz is a player that, can drop in that little spot, in that little number 10 area, and create, if he can find back his touch, in the black, green and gold colors, I feel like people will dead tomorrow, and you will always get Mikel Antonio to do his stuff. Even if Mikel, don't score, he will always, give you the other side of the game, try to just disrupt, that back line. And, I think that's where our defensive line has to start tomorrow, from Mikel, to Shamar and the wingers and the midfield. We have to play very smart. When we play that 4-4-2, in the semi-final against Mexico, we got run over, in the midfield, Luis Chavez, Romo, Eric Rodriguez, those three players, very technical for the Mexican, and they just box us around like a little doll, in the midfield, like you playing man in the middle, So we have to play the 4-4-2 very smart. I think 4-4-2 is a good counter press for the Canadian national team formation, the 3-5, 3-5-2. I think they probably play Jonathan David and Kyle Larin up front. And Davis will probably run that left side. But 4-4-2 is that formation to conquer 3-4. And it's any formation, coaches want to play at 3 at the back, 4-4-2 will conquer, because you have the luxury of having 2 wide men. If you can use those fullbacks and those wingers to connect really properly, especially going forward, you will have a lot of overloads, because when the team, just like a Canadian team, Davis will always push up. Davis will always push up high on that left side. So you can connect, using our right back and Leon Bailey, whenever if the Canadian break down that left side, when we win the ball, that's the first place, the Jamaican team should look on that Canadian left side or right side going in their defensive third, because there will always be gaps. There will always be gaps in between, the center halves, the left wing, the left center back and the right center back. Between that, you see that little triangle puddle where from the left center half to their midfield and to their left wing back, that triangle right there, you will have a lot of room. You will have a lot of room. And if we can set up a nice little structure and how to break them down and how to get around those, because if you can outplay the Canada team and in the wing position, you already have a foot to get 3 points. And if you can, the second thing, you can disrupt that connection between the back three and the midfield, more like you will beat the Canadian team. And the Canadian team, they will concede goals. They will concede goals. That's what a fact I know. They will concede goals. As you know, their last game, Canada only played one. Canada only played one game, I think, since the World Cup. And I think that was Japan when they got 4-1. And again, time and time, the Japan team, they just sit patiently and just wait for them to attack and then just hit them on the counter. But I don't want Jamaica to play on the counter. We want to play on the front foot. We need that positive result. At the office, we need to show dominant in this game. The Canada team have poor results. I said it earlier. The last time, I see the Canadian team beat the Reggae Boyz, it was many years ago. And, we always have good results against them. It's just recently, this Canada team kind of giving Jamaica a fight because of, they restructured their football, because of John Herdman, and, he helped them with that coaching ability and, get the best out of his players. But tomorrow, Friday, will be a big game. It will be a big game, for the Reggae Boyz. And, we want to go to the Copa America. We want to go to the Copa America, man. You want to go. That's the big thing. You want to play against Brazil. You want to play against Argentina. The last time we played in the Copa America, what year was that? I think it was under Schaefer. It was under Schaefer when the Copa America played in Chile. We played Chile. I think did we play Chile? I know we played Argentina though. We played Argentina. Remember who was in the group, but yeah, we played a couple big games, and those are the games, that will be, playing the Copa America next summer, that will be a preparation for the FIFA World Cup. Because that's a big one. If you could ask me a question of if you rather qualify for the FIFA World Cup or winning the Copa America, I will take qualify for the FIFA World Cup, to be honest. Because it's been so long. It's been so long, since 98. And tomorrow will be the anniversary of, the when we got that famous point in the national stadium against Mexico, to qualify for the 1998 World Cup. So yeah, it's all history. So yeah, history is riding on our side, so hope we can get the result. But people, it's time to break. It's 3 minutes after 11 now. So tomorrow probably do another video, solely about the Reggae Boy and Canada team, a preview. I think there's a press conference tomorrow. The Reggae Boys. I think there's a press conference tomorrow. I'm going to watch that, see what's going on, what's the latest around the team. But yeah, need to support the team, man. Need to support the team. Need to go and purchase the tickets, rally around the team. I will be there supporting the Reggae Boys. I will be jumping on a flight tomorrow down in Kingston, ready for that game. But yeah, people are come to the end. But as I said, man, the first game I predict, Mexico to beat Honduras, 2-0 in Honduras. As I said, Honduras haven't scored on Mexico in the last 5 games. Trinidad, I think Trinidad will get wrecked tomorrow. I think the Trinidad team will get wrecked. I don't think Angus Eve can prepare his team to stop this American team, from beating them. I think they will get probably 4 or 5 tomorrow, to be honest. I would love Trinidad to get the results, but if Trinidad can get a 1-0, a 1-0 victory, go back to Trinidad next week, that will be a positive. It's been a while. It's been a while since, this America team, go to Trinidad and get a result, So all the way back in 1996 was the last time America team get a positive result from a Trinidad team. 2009, the last time, But yeah, people, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man, and make sure you like the video. Make sure you like the video, man. That's one of the best way to contribute to any YouTubers. Like a video, it mean a lot. It help let the video, move on and get recommended all over the place, and people can see it. So it's just pass through, just 3 likes on the video. Come on, just like the video, mean a lot. But yeah, really, really appreciate all the support, everyone is giving me over here in the Carter Media House, Still very young, we started this journey, just before the World Cup in May, the end of May, around that time, this channel has been published. So yeah, I think I'm doing a really good job. I think I'm doing a really good job. I'm progressing really fast, as you could watch back a video 3-4 months ago till now. It happened to the best of the best. You're always nervous. Sometimes you shy to show the look of nervous on your face, but it just can't hide. It just can't hide, man. But Reggae Boyz. Yeah, we'll play, Canada tomorrow, people. I'm out, Respect everyone that's passed through, man. Really appreciate everybody, Thanks for the love, Hope to see you guys. I was trying to look for, the press conference, what time. I don't remember what time. I saw it, but I just don't remember what time. I probably would be midday. Anyone know what time will it be the press conference? I see it, but I don't know how to find it. But yeah, man. Thanks for watching, man. We out. But people, before I go, I talk about different things over here. I talk about the Prem podcast. I have a Prem podcast where I talk about the Premier League, what happened over the weekend, with me and, my virgin, good virgin, Daniel, Daniel have a channel, DFS, Daniel Football Show, check out his channel. He always over here on the Prem podcast with me, he's a co-host, for the Prem podcast. I talk about the Jamaican Premier League, the real name of Jamaican Premier League. I think I did 4 review show already, about the Jamaican Premier League. Yeah, man. So support the other shows, and I do Champions League review and stuff like that. I do Champions League review. So the Prem podcast, anything about the Reggae boys, the Reggae girls, I do that. And Champions League, I do reviews. Now I'm gonna do reviews for Tuesday and Wednesday game. Tuesday games and Tuesday, and a reaction on that, and then Wednesday games. Yeah. So you can always support, my thing over there. Show you. So this is, don't know if you guys seen it properly, but this is, Daniel Football Show. That's his channel. Go over there and support him. He's doing an amazing job. You can get the latest on Chelsea. He's a Chelsea supporter. We always have our banter over here. I'm a United supporter, you see back here. But this probably soon drop down because United can't walk right now. United are almost on their face, you know. Soon to be replaced by the junglist, Arnett Garden. You know, wait till they get it. Arnett Garden, I work on Arnett Garden scarf. That's what's supposed to be there. And Man United are fall on them face. They not deserve to be talked about right now. But yeah, support Daniel thing, you know, Daniel support him thing. And the Prem podcast, you know, but nothing this weekend, you know, this weekend is international football, you know, we will be back, you know, talking about that big game, you know, November the 25th, Manchester City versus Liverpool, you know. So yeah, man, Paul, big up anyway there, don't know. Hope you come back on the channel soon, cause your team play a game and you walk out pan we, you know. Yeah, man, you walk out on the podcast, man. Walk out on the podcast, brother. So people, this, you know, these are the, you know, the Jamaican, the real name of the Jamaican Premier League, you know. Solely about the Jamaican Premier League, you know, that's my bread and butter. The league that I grew up on. Team supporting the junglers for many years, over 2 decades now. I support the junglers. From my eye close where I support the junglers and Reggae boy. Yeah. People just say me out, but keep, you know, going on and on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, man. Respect people. Bless upon yourself.